Oh boy, it got so hot, I forgot what I should have thought of before. Sure ain't easy for you to let go of the rules, cause that's so much fun. Are you loving the feeling? It touch me, are you in it? Don't say what you see.
Welcome everyone to day 2 of the VCT Game Changers Academy October, presented by Verizon and AIM Labs. I am Zombie Grub, once again your host, yesterday, today, tomorrow, all time, everywhere. And today I also have 2 more amazing commentators with me, Epitomes and Gompers. How you guys doing? Epitomes, how are you doing this fine Saturday?
You know, I think that this is going to be a pretty great matchup. I think we've got some really interesting teams, especially today, and I'm really excited to see who's going to go on, and it's going to be really interesting. We have a round of 16 on our hands, and there are 2 teams with bye rounds, which hasn't really happened before, so I am just super excited.
Yeah, I'll explain the format in just a little second, just right after I say hello to Gompers. Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good like always. There's never a day where I'm not. But yeah, I mean, it's always a pretty fun time coming on here and doing Game Changers Academy because you get to see new teams, you get to see new players, names that we haven't even seen before.
And some names that we are familiar with, so we got a good mix this time around. We'll definitely be talking more about that when we take a look at all the teams in the bracket. But first, to just quickly go over the tournament format. If you guys weren't here yesterday, we did go through a group stage where we were playing best of ones, top 2 of 4-team groups, advanced to today's bracket. So 14 teams advanced today with, as Epitomes was talking about, the top 2 performers actually getting buys. So it's going to look a little weird on the bracket, but yeah, they already get advanced forward. And then, of course, everyone who has a game today is going to be playing best of 3s through the rest of the tournament today and tomorrow. So there's the tournament overview. Not too difficult to follow now. Just a single elimination bracket, always pretty easy. Always also exciting because that is, of course, meaning that whoever loses is right out of the tournament. So the stakes are pretty high. Now let's go ahead and check out the brackets, talk about some of those teams we don't know too much about, but then, of course, the teams that we know a decent amount of. So maybe the returners from previous Game Changers Academy, but then also 1 or 2 teams that are actually just big names. So if we have that bracket ready to go, that is, then we can actually get a visual cue going up. Here we go. There you have it indeed. So yes, let's start off with Epitomes. What do you see on this bracket? Who are you excited to see for potentially the rest of the tournament?
So we have Ariana Grande Perfume and Team Mystic Venus. So both have been in the circuit for quite a while, but also if you look down on the bracket a little bit, we do see Team Version X, who actually has made it into the round of 16 as well, and they're going up against Lair. So that's bound to be a really tough matchup for both of those teams, but the top performers, Ariana Grande Perfume and Team Mystic Venus. Team Mystic Venus having a bye, so we today will be casting over Overkill and Wannabees, so whoever wins that will go up against TMV.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned kind of one of the biggest names, which is going to be Version X. Gompers, you want to elaborate on just kind of why we're excited to see them and any other team you want to talk about?
Yeah, we don't see a lot of signed teams here in, you know, the academy bracketing. So it is definitely kind of like a surprise to see a team like Version X coming into this. I'm sure they're just trying to figure out, you know, the compositions and whatnot, just practicing overall and also having a new player play with them. So honestly, I think this is good. I think you get that practice in, you get the reps in with a team as strong as Version X, and honestly, you know, improvement comes with that.
Yeah, we had a couple of fun matches yesterday where we saw, I guess, first person, some of the more promising teams as well, which we'll certainly talk about. So those are actually really quite fun. But Tactical Throwers also in there, and we'll be casting them today. And they're a big name to look out for as they pretty consistently at least get the top 4. But we also had, I think it was Revival that kind of showed up, and we weren't knowing what to expect, and they actually did particularly well. So just a lot of teams to look forward to. But who are we actually casting here today? Well, that's what the schedule is for. So let's go ahead and pop that up and talk about the 3 best of 3s happening. Could be a very long day indeed. First match is going to be Overkill versus Wannabees. Second match, as I said, Tactical Throwers appearing on the mainstream versus Colossal Gaming. And then those quarterfinal matches, we have to actually get through the first stage of the bracket. Then we'll see the winner of Tactical Throwers versus Colossal Gaming and Sanrio's and Adore Esports. So whoever wins between those two will be the ones that we're following. We'll also try to keep you guys updated as far as how the rest of the bracket is looking. If you guys, obviously want to know, we do have that link in chat, but also just saying it out loud, especially if there's going to be any surprises that happen, like, version X actually taking a loss would be kind of surprising, but maybe it'll happen. All wonderful things. Hopefully a couple of surprises in store for you guys over the next 10-ish hours, perhaps. 3 best of 3s in Valorant can go a long time, but I'm super happy to have the casters with us, Epitomes and Gompers. Let's start talking about match 1, Overkill versus Wannabees. So this is another example, Epitomes, of 2 teams that we just frankly don't know a lot about. So it's going to be a kind of a first-hand look. So is there anything that you can give us, I suppose, anything at all, really? Even their recent performance yesterday, perhaps, might be the only thing we have to go off of.
Yeah, Overkill yesterday did play against version X, and they did lose that matchup against version X, but we know that some of these players did previously play on Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, which participated in a few other tournaments such as Sakura Cup and the Astral Clash. But other than that, they do have some experience, some competitive experience, but I don't know how long they've been together. I don't know how many games they've played, but it's a bit of a mystery going into this.
Yeah, I think we do have at least the maps we can take a look at, though, to give us something to talk about, I suppose, right? Because, yeah, again, the actual statistics here for both teams a little more limited. So if we can get the maps up on the board, I think we're starting off on Icebox, if I remember correctly. I did remember correctly. Amazing. So Gompers, what are you thinking about these map choices?
On these map choices, I mean, honestly, if it works out for them, it works out for them. I think kind of just not really relying on the newer maps makes a little bit more sense. Okay, let's go with the classics. These teams have been here for a while as well, so I feel like maybe just having a little bit more competitive experience with these types of maps, especially coming into this being kind of, I wouldn't say a pug team, but a newer type of team. You can't really, put that much effort into the newer types of maps when, you have the fundamentals down on Icebox, Ascent, Haven, and it just feels like more comfort goes to there.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Probably the most we can read into it really is a lot of the comfort picks. As a reminder, guys, it is identical to the ladder map pool right now as far as the choices, and also Harbor is not available. So if there was going to be some change up there, which, there might be, maybe on Icebox, who knows, but we don't actually have it. So it is going to be kind of what we've expected over the last... How many months has Icebox been out? However many months it has been, however many years, I suppose. I still remember when it was the newest map. Good times, good times. Anywho, yeah, I think that's, as we said, not too much to go off between the two. It's going to be brand new faces, I think, to the mainstream, although perhaps not as individual players, but rather together as the team. And I want to say the winner of this, who do they face? They face Team Mystic Venus, guaranteed actually, because they do have Team Mystic Venus has a bye, so they're already up in word. So it's going to be a bit tough, even if they do win this one, to actually continue on into the brackets. But guys, our game is ready to go. So casters, take it away.
I'm excited. Getting into it. The Icebox. We're not the Agent Select. This is the Agent Select. So yeah, just the fundamentals. Like I said, it's a lot easier to bring this into a map, especially with newer types of teams with not a lot of competitive experience as a group.
Yeah, and definitely here, this is basically what you expect to see. You got the Viper, the Chamber. Some people do like to substitute that Sage, but Overkill starting on that attack. Not surprising that they bring you into the Jet, get that little bit of extra space to be had when you're starting on the attack and get the few extra rounds in before you switch on to the defense. And Sage kind of lacks that info, but still does have some value on the attack, using that barrier orb as well as the slows to help with those pushes. But it's really a toss-up here since it's almost nearly a mirror matchup, the only difference being double Sentinel versus that single duelist.
Yeah, the double Sentinel kind of taking a really big charge over the last month or so. It overall, too, something that goes well on Icebox. If you're not really too accustomed to that defensive side, then kind of settling for this would help you out more. I'm actually more interested to see how they use this in cohesion with that KO. I feel like Q's role right now is just to get that early suppression, early information, and maybe assist the Sentinels to giving them, okay, can I use my util here? What can I do with this information?
Now starting here on the attack, not really sure anything that's going to be going on here. It's just such a huge mystery, you know, but we do have that Sage and Viper playing on the A site, and you used to see a lot of Vipers playing on that B, so you can throw that long wall down short, but instead it's going to be a wall that goes all the way through boiler and into kitchen there. So that's got their tube covered. They also got that trip set up inside kitchen. Nemo going to try to be the point of the spear now, peeking out and seeing one boiler.
Yeah, there goes Danny, trying to close them off, but it really isn't enough. I mean, they could find other ways to get themselves over. Yeah, and as they do it, the wall is going to be the only thing holding them back, kind of being that divider for both of these teams. Overkill comes around. Maybe if Nemo can win this fight, they can give an advantage, but absolutely nothing.
Overkill 3 to 4. It's not a horrible disadvantage, but they still have this Viper and Sage on the site. Denny is suppressed. Can't find that one kill though, Gompers, and now Floofy is going to wait for the back from the teammates.
One more Mara left alone, and it's scary. 1v3, but the pissed around going to Wannabees, so an advantage there. The first round, giving them a little bit more comfort moving into the second.
There's a little bit of debate here, Gompers, about whether or not that Icebox is an attacker or defender-sided map, because a lot of people think that Icebox is one of those maps where you can just 5-man every single site all the time, but at the same time, look at how little space and map control Icebox gives to those attackers at the very beginning compared to how much ground the defenders can cover. So in a sense, it is harder to defend because there's more space, but it's a lot easier to pinch these attackers here. Now into the second round, Wannabees with the buy up against Overkill with only pistols.
Yeah, the wall still there. So good from Wannabees to kind of have that completely propelled upwards, blocking off any type of entry that could come down. So, I mean, they're just keeping themselves together. Real nice and easy, waiting for them to make a mistake here for Overkill. And although they have those Spectres, they have that advantage. They still play pretty patiently, not really giving into the hands of Overkill. And I mean, you can see that 2-0 comes in. They have such a good lead coming in so far.
And now it's all left to this bonus. Overkill pretty patient with the first 2 rounds, but now Nemo going for the big buy, and that is such a huge gun. The operator on the attack as well, and we're talking about how this Jet can make more space on the attack because of having that dash and being the duelist instead of the sentinel, but having the operator really slows that down and is really kind of more play for pick style, and you have the rest of the team that has to make up for it because the Jet is busy holding those long angles.
Oh.
Ooh.
All right, an op a little risky on the attacking side, but I want to see what Nemo does with this. Because this is where things start to get a little bit risky. But is it possible to kind of pull something together? Nemo peeks out. You know they're there. But with Spectres, I mean, you want to play this very patiently.
The tailwind runs out, so it's still holding mid, and the only one who's made a little bit of space is that Sova Miara all the way up to A, but they're playing this very slow, running down 40 seconds on the timer already, still trying to figure out where to go, but not a lot of info has been gathered. Ooh, Yeji doesn't find the first pick though, and that's good. They've opened up that B site.
Great positioning here, Glimmer. Having the wall up, kind of dividing once again, and that's the thing, like, you can read into these opponents. Okay, they're afraid of the wall, let's see what they do here. Irene holding their ground, and that's the best part about Overkill. They continue to have absolutely no respect over Wannabees. They push them into a corner. Kitsy trying to get some of the shock darts down, but the damage not enough, and it's good for Gov. So, yeah, 2-1.
A near flawless for Overkill. The only player going down is going to be that operator, but Glimmer picks that right up, handing it off to the teammate once again. And now it's looking like Overkill, they're in a good position to win another one. That op didn't really get the value that we wanted it to get. We were expecting that first pick onto Kitsy right at the top of Boiler, but unfortunately that just didn't swing their way. And now Wannabees, they have a buy-up of their own. Denny is the only one who is looking a little bit low on credits with that Bulldog buy and half shields instead of Vandal full shields. But now Nemo trying the same play again. I feel like that's kind of redundant to throw down the poison orb when your Jet is holding it with the operator, but now they're just trying to aggress into kitchen.
Yeah, the aggression's coming through. Look at that. Once again with the op on the attacking side, and it worked out before, but things change with the positioning here. Who knowing that they're going to go aggressive towards mid as they did before. But Wannabe still getting majority of their players taken out. They need to win the fights. Ploofy, luckily enough, finding out Yeji. So now in a 2v1, you leave yourself in a position of great stress.
Spike planted.
Ploofy at least has this poison orb to rely on, can isolate the fights potentially, but Overkill are playing so close together, and now that they have the spike down, they can play for the post plant. The Viper's up as well, can play for the mollies. Oh, now they're hiding behind yellow.
One enemy remaining.
Completely scared for what's gonna happen next. The thing is that even though we have the ultimate up, maybe Ploofy wasted it here as they try to get themselves something. Yeah, spray through is just gonna be it for Glimmer. Nice. It's difficult. You put that up, you can't use it in the next round, but that was a risky call.
Yeah, I mean, already so low Ploofy, that was a really tough call there. And once again, we see the operator being picked up. I'm really waiting for it to have some kind of impact because it's such a risky buy on the attack.
Yeah.
But Wannabees losing their buy up now means that they have some sheriffs in the hands who looking to be a hero rifle. No, back to the sheriff. So it's going to be Goats. That Stinger might have some effect on Denny there, but otherwise Wannabees, it's looking like a round surrendered over to Overkill, so they might be able to find the lead here, especially with that Viper's Pit available. Oh.
Yeah, already some of that struggle coming down. But that's okay. I mean, look at this. Down in mid again, and I'm wondering if they actually figured out this complete iteration that happens time and time again, right? The 2K comes down, Overkill still having the lead due to this. And Denny finding a different way, a different perspective that they can take things on. Dog is just going to be better with the aim, better with the shots. Ploofy finding one of their own, but still 5 health. Yeah, the refrag going to come in. And left alone.
This is still a fairly expensive round for an eco though, Gompers. This is looking pretty good for Wannabees, all things considered. And they also have been able to farm up some ult points, especially for Who, but not expecting it to be used, especially with Nemo. Finally, a kill with an op too.
It's over. Over and done with. Yeah, a lot more to kind of work for here for Wannabees. You know, that's probably the 3rd time I feel like Overkill has gone in mid, trying to push something together. I'm wondering if they're going to have a little bit more of that tight hold. Maybe if Denny can put their wall up, or possibly just some of that chamber util. I feel like, feels like it's lacking quite a bit in terms of where we're seeing it reside, as Yeji putting it again towards that B long. So, not a lot of information towards A.
Yeah, I definitely think putting it in kitchen so you don't have to dedicate a player seems to be a better idea, but they're fighting for mid this time. Wannabees have made the adjustment and they're going to plop down that barrier orb really deep inside mid, but Overkill have instead opted to go towards that A side. Now Hunter's Fury being popped.
Some damage, nice. Tapping onto it. And the op again from Nemo. We'll see how this kind of falls around itself, but there comes the first off of Nemo. So Denny down. They lose the healer. They lose that main source of kind of like redemption.
Dove's been sitting inside their spawn for such a long time, just peeking over this wall, trying to find some of that damage. Kitsy clears out, actually doesn't clear Nest, so we have Nemo kind of still hiding over on the A site, while the rest of the team, without a duelist, is pushing over onto the B. But Yeji in such a good position. Recon goes out, it's gonna miss them. Ooh, spams the shots, but whiffs.
Ultimate out, the null command good to stop any types of flashes that could come out to try to stall or maybe push Overkill back, but they're so good with the aimed off. Might just be the clutch factor here, but is it enough? No, the 1v3, and absolutely nothing to come from it. Yeji does amazing. Again, it just always happens.
Yeah, that's redemption right there for Yeji after that first shot being whiffed while holding back of the site. And now they have an operator in their hands. Wannabees even out the score as well. And now with 2 ultimates available for Wannabees, Overkill have 3 ultimates of their own. I think picking up that operator has messed up their economy a little bit though, because we see that some of their players are not going to buy the rifles. Instead, they're going to opt for the eco ultimates. So both the Tour de Force as well as that Blade Storm. And I actually am really excited to see the Blade Storm come out because I want to see some of that aggression that Overkill has the potential to bring with their team composition. But once again, the same adjustment. Denny is in mid, taking out the barrier orb, and now that's just stalled out the mid push from Overkill. This is a good adjustment.
Good adjustment. And Dove kind of pulling out that Tour de Force gives Wannabees a good clearing of, let's not peek this. Oh no. The silence is definitely scary, especially when you're attacking, but Irene manages and says, I'll play the duelist role if you need me to. Do a good job at that, so kind of clearing things up for Overkill. Good for them, but the operator might just be able to take out one Irene down, and the suppression no longer able to be used, so, I mean, in a pretty good position right now.
Oh, the suppression knife, that was so good. And Dove gets taken down off the back of that, so now Overkill in a 1v3 situation. Glimmer, the sole player standing, using... Oh, takes down Yeji, but now has to reposition.
One enemy remaining.
Oh, Glimmer.
My god.
It's funny too, because look at this,
Oh
the
my gosh.
repositioning. It's just perfect from Glimmer. They know how to play this to a T, and they take everybody out. And that's just a good example of, you know, utilizing that oh my gosh, Viper's Pit to the right way.
That was so nicely done. When they go into the spike, have no choice but to hold it down, and both snake bites left available. I mean, Glimmer just knows exactly how to reposition in that, and it was really nicely played.
Yeah.
But Overkill, they also spent all of their ultimates in that last round, and now don't really have anything even close to being up. On the other hand, Wannabees do have that Tour de Force, which has now been used. While Nemo, looking for that first pick, Denny goes down.
Yeji waiting. Who? He's gonna peek me down in mid. And this is good, because they don't really have a lot of firepower surrounding towards B. They know Overkill tend to, no pun intended, go Overkill on the sites that they tend to win at. So, reading into this almost perfectly.
And you can look at the positioning of the chamber trip on the flank as well. Wannabees hasn't really tried anything to punish all this like 5-player push into the site. Since they're all so stacked up, it would be really easy to pinch some. But now Dove taking down the first. Irene, can she find the second? It's going to be all red in the kill feed though, and now it's just the Tour de Force player left over.
Teleport's ready.
Spike planted.
Yeah, but they can actually kind of pull something together if they don't get out-opt by Nemo. Yeah, the angle hold. I mean, that will get you.
Yeah, that was kind of unsurprising considering it was a 1v4 and Nemo still has that operator. I feel like this attack operator is just, it feels underwhelming, but it you know, maybe it's just the fact that they do play so slow and they kind of wait to gather all of their info and gather themselves before they do push the site, and that's why the operator kind of feels like it's not finding as much value, because I feel like those are some picks you could also get with the Vandal. And now we are seeing that they're going to try and push that B site once again, using that recon dart to clear out main, and Yeji forced to use the rendezvous in order to get out of it. Kitsy, however, oh, a little bit of a tag there. Oh.
Oh no, okay. The drone was interesting. Coming down on it, but it did get a lot of information there. knowing as to where these players are, how many players are sitting around, and everybody kind of around Snowman, around just the middle of the site. Seems like they're trying to push out. And a resurrection too to come through, but the thing is do they have that wall for the post play? That will get them far enough. Yeah, they do. Breaks down in a millisecond, utilizing once again the Viper's Pit to try to play for that post plan again. And it just doesn't work out the second time. You'd assume. Maybe now they know.
It's Glimmer. I think it's Glimmer's repositioning there. You saw them go all the way back through mid and into orange so that they could be in the back site.
Yeah.
And you're expecting all of those players after the plant to run back into main, but Glimmer went a little bit further, and I think that repositioning is just so crucial, and that is a huge win condition for Overkill, right? Because you have some really flashy outplay potential with the Jet and the Operator, but it's not really that's winning them rounds. It is getting them picks, but I think Glimmer's really, really crucial, especially in the post-plant situation, to be able to win the rounds at all. And you saw the vulnerability status as well with the snake bite did a number on Wannabees in order to get them out of that post-plant.
Yeah. The wall was, I think, a good touch to the timing. The problem is that it also took a little bit too long for them to even get to where they needed to go. They didn't get themselves onto the spike as fast as they could have. And then also coming into that, there wasn't really that insurance, which I feel like it would have worked out well with the Viper Spit, but, you know, looking into things, timing is also a really, really big part of this game. So, not having those distractions, not having the timing down, it leads you to kind of like this, a complete result.
Absolutely right there. And Overkill, speaking of timings, they have already that 6th round, and they're in a good position to win another one since Wannabees is on a save. They're lacking on util, lacking on gunpowder, and now Overkill are looking to push that A site. They have 3 players stacked up there though, so it is definitely a lot more than you would naturally expect for it to be on the site, but they still do have this huge advantage in guns. Overkill are deciding to respect it though. Yeji, however, pushed out with the rendezvous.
Oh no. This might actually be good. Yeah, caught them completely off guard. The second one could have gone, but the movement, maybe just a little bit too fast for Overkill.
Blocking sight.
Nemo just trying to block off that angle. Ooh, that was such a nice shot there, and Yeji's going to re-peek for another. And as I was saying that Overkill, this looks like a good round for them. All of a sudden, so many guns down, and Glimmer is left in a 2v5 along with Miara. And the wall has just gone up. 30 seconds left. The choice here has to be to rotate, or else they have to break the wall since there are so many players already here, but I think this might just be a save from them. They're not looking to aggress.
Yeah, I would assume that this would have to be a save.
Left.
With everything going on. Yeji got a good first pick off of Overkill. And that really just kind of pushed them far back. The thing is that they stopped.
Thrifty.
And they thought, and they played like they were a bunch of deer in headlights, and that kind of gave them, I mean, the position they're in now.
Remaining.
Ooh.
Nice.
Yeah, taking another gun off the board, definitely not a bad thing. And they also get some free guns as well as the Operator off of that. And that's what I was talking about how little map control the attackers have right at the beginning of the round. You can have Yeji, if you decide to push A, get onto the B main and into garage so quickly that you can already peek into their spawn. And on the A site, it is not as apparent, but definitely on the B site when you have the chamber with the rendezvous, that can be a really powerful tool.
Stay down.
Oh.
Ooh, nice shot.
Okay, first one. And it always depends, right? Like, I mean, the importance here is that they don't have to be afraid of being suppressed anymore. They don't have to be afraid of their slashes coming out on them. So they could have full, I mean, confidence coming onto that A site. The only thing is, majority of the players surrounding B, but the spike down on A.
Now Overkill looking to push the B site. They're going to use the null command. Yeji actually does hit that shot there. Irene goes down. I mean, it's possible to get the rest, but they are all running away from that A site. Don't want to deal with the operator, but it's no smokes, which is the biggest thing here.
They have the null command as well from Who, so they could bring this out to stop the push from Overkill. Yeah, absolutely perfect. No util that could be used. Denny in a good position, luckily enough, taking out Glimmer so that they lose the smokes here for Overkill. But regardless, it's just the positioning that works out so well. And they continuously take these picks through and through. So, I mean, regardless of the null command, they win out the fight. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, dude. Almost missed on that pick. Miara finds one, and now it's a 1v2. Miara 7 HP, but the reposition is good. And Overkill, they're just a team that's all about this positioning, using the verticality of Icebox. And I'm not sure whose map pick this was. I'm actually going to go back and check that. But I feel like, especially on this A site, Overkill are really just abusing these vertical angles.
I think they most definitely are. I think Overkill as well, just abusing the fact that they know they can win these fights. Like the wide swings that I've been seeing coming out from Irene, from Glimmer, it doesn't matter if you're the duelist. I feel like this team definitely has that confidence right next to them by their side, which is kind of giving them that advantage. Like right here, they have the buy round. They are able to completely invest in themselves, and it gives them the confidence to do stuff like that. Nemo peeking through, completely getting the engine down. Yellow having to be seen, but nobody caught out. Yeji's going to be the main problem within this game, but they still get the frag.
Here.
Yeji for Wannabees, I feel like, is the biggest problem of Overkill. It's always off the back of multi-kills from Yeji that makes it so hard for Overkill to start aggressing these sites. Glimmer has taken out the Viper's pit, though. A lot of ultimates being expended by Overkill in order to try and get themselves onto B. But actually, Spike is headed to the other site. There's a little bit of info to be gathered by Denny. They just spam her down, and now it's A site all the way.
Spike drop.
Yeah, lucky for them. It is kind of good for Wannabees here. They have the Sova ready and prepped to give them that information needed to get themselves onto the site, but still waiting for that rotation, so time being wasted all the while.
Now two of them are just posturing for this flank. You have Nemo holding the wider angle and Miara ready to swing off the contact. 1-for-1 trade. Very good for Wannabees, but they still do have the Sova in a really good post-plant positioning, right? Oh, even with the wall, it just doesn't matter. Kitty goes down, and with the help of the snake bite, this is so nicely done. Denny in a 1v2 has that barrier orb up, but it's broken. And now peeks out to find one.
Oh,
Glimmer
so good.
going down. Oh, Miara? Wait,
What?
Miara? Wait, what?
I'm surprised even with the pings, Miara didn't choose to go throughout ropes. And that would have been such a fast entry to try to stop the defuse.
Okay, I'm a little bit confused about that play because I think it might have just been that she was out of shock darts and couldn't get a good angle on it from below, but still I feel like that was just such a slow walk up and that she just expected them to get off the spike at any point in time. It's like when someone Omen ults right in front of you and then you kind of expect them to get off the spike just off the threat, right? But the threat wasn't enough. Denny just stuck it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was, I don't know. I felt like it's a situation as difficult, I mean, as it looked, right? Like, you have the Sage, which I feel like is one of the biggest things for Wannabees, is they are heavily playing for that post-plan. So, I don't know. That situation in general is not really too typical, but looking like switching the sides here, Wannabees now able to have that Sage for that protection going into that attacking side.
Yeji going to look back on the flank now. 5-7. This is a very deceptive half, and just winning that pistol might be able to get them tied up at 7-7. Wannabes have won the pistol round in the past, but now the setup is going out for that post plant. It's a very protected spike as well. Oh my gosh, that is a lot of agents paying to buy the 0 points though, and Glimmer just going on through. So nicely done here by Overkill on the retake.
Gun here.
Flawless.
Okay. It looks good. Overkill winning things out, and they had the lead before, so this kind of just adds on to it. Gives them more of that momentum to continue forward with, so playing into that Spectre is 99% sure no buy is going to come out from Wannabees, yeah, so at least some of that leeway there.
And now Overkill, it's looking like they're going to be able to get themselves up to 9, and Wannabees might be able to stop them from getting double digits here. But Overkill, they still do have
Standing ahead.
this
There
buy
they
up. And Wannabees, they just get pinged, don't care, running up to Glimmer, all alone. The vulnerability status from the snakebite is going to do a lot of good, but ooh, double dink from who?
Fighting within kitchen. An interesting place to choose where you want to pick your fights here. Irene waiting for somebody to peek out, but the molly. Oh no. Okay, that's okay. Flash wasted, but Irene's still looking confident to get themselves in. And is slow to stop. Look at that. I mean, the util usage coming out from Wannabees is immense. The way they hold these players back, the moment Nemo peeks, there's absolutely nowhere to run. And now Irene having to slow peek this angle alone. Being able to see at least the head of Denny. Can they find a little bit more? No, the headshot!
Ooh.
It's not hitting!
What? That is just, I mean, fighting in kitchen, that's probably the best idea that you can have from Wannabees, since you really want to abuse the short angles, especially when your opponents have guns like, I don't know, the Guardian. That is just not good within those close angles because you can't really spray. You have to be really precise, really accurate. And that's really made for holding something long like B main or onto A or on mid. But once you're in such enclosed quarters, it's also really hard to swing together, right? Especially with the Spectres. So you just kind of have them peeking into a 1v3 every single time. And yes, you have the better gun. But unless you hit that 3-man spray down, then you're in a really bad position there. And now Overkill, they are really low on credits. Oh no, Dove. Unable to find that first pick either.
The attention completely revolving around Wannabees right now. Taking over the site. Danny looking like a duelist themselves, playing on that Sage roll and the 2K, by the way, to close things out for them. The Spectres, they just completely annihilate this team. Also kind of accounting for the fact that they're on that save round, but yeah, absolutely, completely swiped away.
Wannabees now up to 7, a potential 8 here since they will have the buy into this next one. I think they lost that operator, realizing that they don't like to play it on the attack. Yeji, oh no, still operator. They're going to take that one back out. But on the other hand, Overkill, they also have an operator of their own on Nemo, and maybe on the defense this is going to find a lot more value. You see Nemo playing over on that B side. We have the chamber trademark inside of the kitchen, and now Wannabees are looking towards A. So the operator actually might not find anything.
Oh, not as of right now, though. Especially with, look at that, all the util kind of stopping these players from peeking. I feel like it would have been a better bet to just let them swing themselves out and get that type of punishment for trying to be that aggressive, trying to be that confident Floofy, taking advantage of these types of plays. So, I mean, leaving Overkill with 3 players to the 3v3.
Now in a 2v3 situation though, Nemo going down. And we have that Viper Spit available, probably not going to do much with it, but the Recon also not going to find anything, only just gives away the position of this Sova player. Irene knows where they are and is able to find one now with the flash drive. Nope, both of the kills going over to Wannabees, and they've made it 8-8 Overkill after losing that bonus round or buy-up round. They are unable to get that foot back into the door.
8-8. And I mean, a lead that was originally Overkill's coming over to Wannabees. And also, not really forgetting the fact that both of these teams we don't know much about. There are some names here like Miara, some names here that I'm pretty sure I recognized before, like Yeji and possibly Kitsy, but overall, the team as a whole, this is completely new and different for them.
Now, I mean, we have some moments of brilliance with both of these teams. Denny is able to find that first. Oh, what? Okay. Shorty not able to get anything onto Yeji here. But, like, you have these teams with moments of brilliance, some really good plays, but it seems like they do fall apart after a few rounds. It is a little bit disjointed, but now Overkill with only 2 in a 2v4 situation. It's looking like another round to Wannabees. But ever since Wannabees has gotten on this attack, even though they do have one less duelist, they are looking really, really strong, especially after winning the buy-up in a Thrifty. So now Miara, ooh.
Okay.
Operator goes down.
Oh no. This is dangerous too. You just got the sheriff. What are you gonna do with your life? You gotta peek through. You gotta try for something here. Yeah, playing for the exit frags. Oh, the double peek to try to get it. No. I think they kind of risked their own life. Oh yeah.
Oh no, who's that's for sure toxic from who going for the peaks and trying to counter strafe against Miara. And now Wannabees, they have 3 ultimates available. Overkill, they are on the buy up. Nemo, once again the operator. I mean, I don't like the operator. I think it really slows down because you have to have a gamble on which site they're going to push on the defense. And then once you're into the retake, you kind of have one less player because they're really just made for holding those long angles unless you can kind of get some kind of Call of Duty quickscope every single time you get a kill. It's just going to be really, really tough in the retakes.
Not as tough as it is trying to peek through with an operator. Although the thing is that, oh, the flash came out, but it didn't hit. Not necessarily. Didn't even know Nemo was trying for that angle, but here comes the resurrection.
Ooh.
Nice from Kitsy.
Yeah, there's also no support for that operator player. You just have Nemo playing alone up front, and now you are one less player into the retake.
One less for the wall to cover up. And the thing is that I feel like Sage has been such a big factor for Wannabees, whether it be on that defensive role or coming into the attacking side and playing for that, but as it seems right now, there is some of that struggle to try to keep things moving for Overkill. Irene lucky to get the molly out on Who, and Yeji keeping things behind.
Ooh, what? Right into the smoke, Yeji with the operator. Still a 2v2. Irene going big though with the 3k, and that's just 2 players stacked on top of each other. Yeji doesn't have the chance to fire. Time is low though, and Floofy, oh, that's a clutch from Floofy to bring them up to double digits. Takes up the operator once again, avoids the spike detonation, and it's nicely done from Wannabees all around. Denny with the resurrection. I feel like that was one of the really huge factors of that last round.
Yeah.
That resurrection coming back in allows Who to go for the no command, which then helps the retake go a little slower, and when it's down to the wire, you really have no choice but to stick.
As well as, like, even taking this lead back after Overkill had such a significant lead on you, it feels good on the mental. I definitely feel like your confidence has risen, and I mean, coming into this, the operator as well, we're seeing a lot more of it.
Late storm from Nemo. No tour de force active though, so they only have this singular eco ultimate to try and get themselves back into this game. Stop Wannabees from getting that 11th point because they're on a little bit of a bad timing with their economy. They're on a save now. Next round, potential buy, and if they lose this one, it's a buy for 11. They lose that one again, 12, and they're broke. Good positioning from Nemo though. Irene going to try. No, Irene's not going to peek there. Well, Wannabees are looking very indecisive right now, Gompers.
Yeah, more so just trying to feel out what's gonna happen here. They don't know exactly what Overkill likes to play. and what their game is, but it seems like a retake here. Yeah, they know how aggressive Wannabees is.
30 seconds left.
Ooh, Denny finding the pick onto Dove though, and now they're trying to avoid the Hunter's Fury. It doesn't actually find anyone who is a little bit decayed by the Viper snake fight. Other than that, Spike does go down. Ooh, was that a dink onto Nemo? Right through that wall.
Pick things back up, but getting taken down again. The ultimate completely useless here, but Glimmer isn't. Looking like 9 health there. But of course, bullets everywhere. It just doesn't end here for Wannabees. They're playing completely perfect when you come into these games. Forcing Overkill back into a retake was huge from them.
And now they're going to force Overkill onto the timeout as well. They have a tour de force available for themselves, but it feels like this defense is just not swinging their way at all. Wannabees are definitely getting so much value out of that Sage, like you said, having more protected plants, being able to block off those key angles with the barrier orb and the slows as well, just doing so much in forcing Overkill back and not to slow peek out of it, because when you have an operator on the enemy team that is holding you through a slow, it is so tough to be able to get past that, since you're basically just walking straight into their crosshairs.
The members of the team of Wannabees are definitely playing really well. I think the Sage was such a good touch, and I talked about this before, I kind of touched on it, but the walls, they just have so much impact in games like these. On the defense, it was the post plant that really just allowed that wall to shine, and then coming into this, it's Wannabees playing on that attacking side and being able to just really use it to their advantage on, you know, posting that wall up for the spike to be able to be planted, or whether it be just trying to push players back on Overkill for the retake. So I think doing a really good job at that.
Yeah, I definitely do agree that that wall has been pretty crucial here to Wannabees' playstyle. And now it's looking like they're going to try for a fast A push. And you can see how the slow has affected basically all of Rafters for Wannabees. So you force Irene off the angle, allow Yeji to go for the peek with the operator, and kind of hold that Rafters angle. Now Denny going aggressive. This is a really interesting wall that is happening right now for planting in front of the wall. Okay, this is some nerdy Sage tech that I have not seen before.
Oh, okay. So them to figure something out. Yeah, Overkill. They just ran it down. I think that's the first time we've seen them be this aggressive coming into that, and honestly it works, so I'm assuming they're going to start working with this. This was such a good kind of like counter play to what Wannabees was bringing.
Yeah, this was definitely really nicely done from Overkill to be able to try and find that first little spark that might be able to get them back into the game. Denny actually looking a little bit baroque, but can be bought by a teammate here, so it's still a full buy for Wannabees, and they have those 3 abilities that are available, the ultimates, the Hunter's Fury, Viper's Pit, as well as the Tour de Force. It doesn't look like they're going to be using the Tour de Force this round, but Dove, on the other hand, has a Tour de Force of their own, and Irene 1 point off from the Null Command as well, which is one of those powerful retake weapons, since it can just completely stop any utility that that team wants to bring. But early Snakebite onto Belt makes it so that they can't peek Rafters, so that's actually really nicely done here by Overkill.
The markings coming out to it. Overkill. Getting Irene taken down, so no suppressions available or flashes, so just having to rely on that Sova for information. But 13 seconds until we can have Wannabees information come out from their Sova. But it seems like the operator being held down in mid, and this is the time to rotate. Oh, they find it. The timing is perfect.
So, just such bad timing there from Nemo, but going actually to look back mid. Nope, doesn't see anyone once again. They just sneak past her every single time.
Hunter's Fury available for some of that damage, just in case they want to use it, maybe for the post plan as well. And the big thing is that they have both of their initiators alive here, so
30 seconds
Being
left.
able to use that and put that into account is huge. No duelist alive, so they have to kind of play into that role. Floofy missing the shots, and that's going to be the detriment here for Wannabees.
That was so sad for Floofy. And oh no, Glimmer, that poison orb going down. And Yeji, who does find that first. And with only a few seconds left, the play here is just to not peek, except Nemo, who is going in for a flank.
Overkill. Bringing things back up. And a whiff that happened from Floofy. I mean, just really put them down for Wannabees. Which, honestly, could have worked out really well. Taking that first shot. Kind of eliminating the players overall for Overkill. And, I mean, limitations are always what works best. But Wannabees taking that time out. Taking the time to figure out what's going wrong.
And now Wannabees, they do have these 3 ultimates. I think that Tour de Force can be of use. And the times we've seen Viper's Pit being used, it has been pretty effective. But that has been mostly by Overkill's Viper, which is Glimmer. And they also do have that null command available. So null command into Viper's Pit does nullify a lot of Viper's effectiveness within her own pit unless she has a shorty. And they also do have the Hunter's Fury for a post plant. So I mean, as long as they can use that Hunter's Fury properly and we don't see a slip up like we saw in the last half, then it should be good for another secured round. They're just trying to push onto that match point.
Yeah, at least using the time. The eco looking not too good for Wannabe, so this is kind of like the last round that they can really account for that economy to pick themselves back up.
Yeji going to go for the Tour de Force as suspected, and Denny actually on the half shields as well, but it's not a big deal here. They do have that Viper's Pit going up, however. I think on the A site, I'm actually not sure what happened. What happened to the Viper's Pit? What? Like, where did it go?
It's gone.
I'm so lost. Why did I hear the sound cue and it just vanished?
Oh my goodness. Advantage? Maybe. No Viper Spit? Ratio. That's the truth.
Facts.
Unspoken res, as we say here. There it is. Floofy coming along. They said no Viper's Pit. That's fine. But the aim is going to work out just great. And it does, of course. I mean, Wannabees, they know that this is kind of like the last round to pick themselves back up. So, I mean, best case scenario, you run in, you take the fight, and you win them out.
Ooh, Yeji. That was a really risky peek with the Tour de Force. All good. They have that rendezvous to get themselves out. And Irene now looking to try and peek forward. But Overkill, they're getting taken down by Denny. And now it's Nemo with the operator. Last player standing. What can they get done?
Saving the op is good for Nemo. Especially coming into... We got the match point within the next round. So... You know, kind of just keeping this on the defense is great, but they also have to read well into Wannabees to get that first-hand pick. That really kind of changes that pacing of the game.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what we're missing from Nemo, is the read. Like, the read just isn't there. And because they're just consistently buying the operator, it's like a rifle shot into the retakes every single time. You can't be as aggressive with the peaks as you want to be. And Overkill, I think their aggression is really what won the rounds against Wannabees, because Wannabees is just a very slow, methodical team, and they like to make sure that they have all their bases covered, but Overkill is a little bit more chaotic in their playstyle. And now we do have no ultimates for Overkill except for the Tour de Force, and on the side of Wannabe, still 3 ultimates available. That Resurrection has come in clutch before as well, and now Dove has been neutralized, so there's no more Tour de Force on the board.
This is the last round, by the way, for Wannabees. If they can take this one, they take the first map. What's gonna happen here? Nemo trying to keep the operator, does not work, and he goes down regardless of the save. So a 3v3. Things looking possible for Wannabees, but also possible. Glimmer gets taken down. Overkill. I mean, the number's slim.
Shut that. Here.
Yeah, geez.
One enemy remaining.
Pinged, but it doesn't matter. Goes for the peek onto Miara, and now it's match point. Irene in a 1v2. They have that Viper's Pit active, and this is such a tough position. Luffy with that last pick. Wannabees taking it to 13. And first map, it was Wannabees map pick, so it isn't that surprising that they were able to get this first one.
Yeah.
Hello. I am back.
Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Wannabees takes it on their map pick, which, you know, looked a little questionable for a while there, but I guess they were able to pull through. I actually checked out the stats when you kind of brought up, you know, like whose map pick was that? You know, they're playing so well on it. And I wondered if it was because of the stats that are available to us, available to the teams as well. There's going to be a limited amount, but Icebox was one of the worst maps for Overkill. So if they're trying to kind of play off of that, like our good one, their bad one, but it was so close anyways, so that didn't quite work out maybe as planned, if that was a part of it, as both teams clearly very well matched with each other. Just kind of sum up the game. I got a couple of questions for our amazing commentators for game number one. Yeah, epitomes. Was it a compositional difference there? Did it really just come down to the agents that were selected because we did have a team kind of play that off meta style?
I don't think it was a huge compositional difference, because I definitely do think Sage brought a lot of value, right? But I feel like they could have matched that on the side of Overkill if they just weren't so committed to that operator. Like, it felt like they were in a 10-year relationship with this sniper rifle and just refused to divorce. And I just didn't know what was happening with that, because it felt like they were losing so many rounds to the fact that they couldn't get aggressive and they couldn't go for the aggressive peaks and trade off of one another just because of how long they were holding angles.
Yeah, I love the simile there. That was that was perfect, because and I hate to kind of do this, but we do have to focus a little bit on the weakest link here, right? Which was that operator play. Nemo Gomper is just not really able to pop off, I suppose, or just get quite stable. Again, ended up being very close map, but you gotta wonder, you know, is that kind of weighing on them? The ineffectiveness of their opener could have maybe gotten a few more rounds. They were so dedicated to that operator, and then, you know, closing out as well. So, is that true? Is that, you know, can Nemo maybe get a little bit better? Maybe that was a bit more of a warm up, and that's going to push them to victory, or was it too many other factors as well that's going to make this a 2-0?
Yeah, I think there were times where they had some pretty effective plays, but overall it's the question of not have I done something important, but more so how many times have I done something important? What am I putting into the each and every round for my team? And playing with the op is such a risky type of ordeal, especially playing onto that jet, which is why preferably I feel like it should stick to that chamber role. It should stick to you know, being able to extend yourself outward and get yourself back into positioning as fast as you can, instead of dashing into another I would say area and taking those fights again. So I definitely feel like there is some questions to be asked, and I think they pull themselves together the next game.
Yeah, there's always that chance. Of course, we also have a scenario where both teams are basically feeling each other outright. It's one thing to look at the stats, even if there are a bunch available, another to actually be in a game playing against someone. So as I said already, this ended up being a close map, even with a couple of those things to consider for the losing team. Very, very close. Clearly, they can fix them things up and head into game 2 on ascent. Hopefully a bit better, so we go ahead and get that game 3 and continue with some of the close matches here on Game Changers Academy. But we are going to go to a break first. When we come up again, it's going to be Ascent between Overkill and Wannabees.